Looking towards Bitcoin and how it affects the crypto markets as a whole. So Bitcoin is the first crypto asset ever created and has remained the largest crypto asset available in terms of market capitalization. Bitcoin dominance is the measurement of how much Bitcoin's market cap makes up the total crypto market cap. For example, Bitcoin dominance at 60% means that 60% of the total crypto market is invested in Bitcoin. It makes up 60% of the total market. Currently, in early 2022, Bitcoin dominance resides at about 42%, give or take, and has remained around this level since May 2021. Now, it's important to keep in mind that a lowering Bitcoin dominance has often coincided with alt seasons in the past, indicating that capital is leaving Bitcoin and is flowing down to the smaller cap coins. You can think of it as the space becoming much more diversified over time, specifically with these alt seasons where we're starting to see this main bulk of capital with Bitcoin starting to flow into the other coins. Here's a visualization of the total crypto market cap. This is provided by coinmarketcap.com. And as we can see here, this orange line and this general orange section, this is considered Bitcoin. And we see our labeling here as far as which coins correspond with which colors. Over time, this starts with January 2013 is when this really was starting to become tracked. As we can see here, not a lot of coins were available up until this point. Really only about 2015, 2016 is when we start to see new coins such as Ethereum take hold. XRP showing strength in January 2015 as well. And over time, Bitcoin market dominance has declined, indicating that the space has become more diversified. And we still have not yet quite reached back to levels such as pre-2017, where Bitcoin dominance was well above 80%, near 90%, depending on the year and the month, the time frame. Even at its during the 2018-2019 bear markets, Bitcoin dominance really only reached a high of about maybe 60 to 70% of a height of a high, which is still far below the pre-2017 market cycle highs of market capitalization, indicating that there was an increased level of diversification in this period compared to prior years. We still continue to see that going into 2020, 2021, and into 2022, where Bitcoin dominance has remained relatively flat, really over the past year from 2021 into 2022, hovering about in the 40s, mid 40s percentage of the total crypto space. This is an indication that as the space has matured over time and there's increased adoption and increased institutional investments, the space has become much more diversified. We're seeing other coins maintaining and holding a stronger percentage of the total market capitalization, such as Ethereum, Solana, and other coin projects as well. Now, since Bitcoin makes up such a large part of the overall crypto space, its performance will often dictate how the other coins will perform. This still holds true today. Now, if Bitcoin is moving up in value, altcoins, the alternate coins such as Solana, XRP, Polkadot, they can and typically will follow, right? Bitcoin is the leader in market direction, whether up or down. In this case, we're talking about if it's moving up, altcoins will often see larger percentage increases than Bitcoin during these movements. There's less capital invested in them, so it doesn't take as much capital required to move those markets, right? If something only has 100 million market cap compared to Bitcoin, which has a $700 billion market cap. It's going to take less money to move that $100 million market cap and to see a 10% valuation increase compared to Bitcoin, which is going to require more because there's already so much more money and capital invested in it. Now, if Bitcoin is stagnant or moving sideways, altcoins may follow Bitcoin in its neutral patterns, or they may increase in value or decrease. It really depends on the situation. That's Bitcoin stagnation or a sideways market for Bitcoin is an indication of a pause, and alts can typically catch up to Bitcoin, especially after a move up or a move down. Now, if Bitcoin is losing value, it's dropping, the altcoins will follow Bitcoin, and often we'll see far worse percentage losses, right? We'll see a few examples on the next few slides, but typically, let's say if Bitcoin drops about 6%, the altcoins might drop more, maybe 12%, maybe 15%, and this will vary from coin to coin. So here's an example. Here we see an example. This is from 2021, particularly focusing on late July going into August. Here we see Bitcoin's performance during its reversal from the downtrend established in May 2021. Bitcoin saw 9 consecutive days of green candles. Here we see higher closes than their opening, totaling to a 43.45% increase in 9 days. In about the same time period, we're taking a look at Ethereum here. This is on the same day, starting on the same day. Ethereum, while Bitcoin only saw 9 consecutive days, Ethereum actually saw 12 consecutive days of green candles compared to the 9 days shown in Bitcoin. Now, during the 9-day period, Ethereum increased 41%. And in the 12-day period rose to about 51.99% increase on the 12th day. It actually increased even higher, so we could even say 52% on the 11th day, but since we're factoring just this wave of green candles, we're going to take a look at the 12 days. Here's another example. So this is Anchor. This is an altcoin, a much smaller cap coin, smaller market capitalization coin compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is in the same time period, the same days. Anchor is considered a low or small cap coin of about $600 million, which is considerably lower than something like Bitcoin, which has about $700 or $800 billion. Ethereum, which has about $300 billion. During this 9-day period, where Bitcoin saw a 43.45% increase, Anchor saw a 59.29% increase. So here we see, even though Anchor did not experience those 9 days straight of green candles, we start to see green candles here. Even just from the beginning of this 9-day period to the end of the 9-day period, we saw a 59.29% increase. It actually went even higher. So this could have possibly went well over 60%, maybe even 65%, depending on which high we're going to measure. But just measuring from the beginning of the 9-day period to the end of the 9-day period, we see even with just that, not even factoring the highs, a notable higher percentage increase in that same time period compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Here's another example. This is in reverse, coming from higher valuations downwards. So these are price deteriorations. Here we see Bitcoin's performance during the downtrend in Q2 2021, particularly focusing around June going into July. This measurement will start from the swing high observed on June 15th, where Bitcoin swung back up to just over 40,000, we'll say about 41,000. It tested a key level of about 41,000 and was rejected back to the downside. During the 35-day period following this high, we saw Bitcoin fell an additional 29% over the next 35 days. So this was a sign. This was a potential reversal in the making. We're starting to see a pause in the market trend. We're not seeing these consecutive lows, lower lows and lower highs, right? We're starting to see the continuing of the lower highs, but we do see higher lows, right? Higher low here compared to here, another higher low. We see a higher low. This is arguably higher than the one, than this major one, and then we start to see a higher high. The failure to break past this level is not necessarily unwarranted, right? But price came down and did not produce a higher low. It actually produced an even lower low. So this is just a sign of just the continuation of this downward trend and the deterioration of Bitcoin at this particular time. In the same time period, here we see Ethereum. This is during that same downtrend. During this time, Ethereum follows Bitcoin in attempting a swing high on 7/15. It tried to produce a high of about $2,600, but was ultimately rejected to the downside. During this 35-day period, we saw Ethereum fall about 34.91%, which is a higher loss than Bitcoin's 29.09% decrease. So we're even with just from a Bitcoin to Ethereum, we are seeing higher increases and higher decreases. And taking a look at Anchor. This is Anchor's performance during that same time period. It attempted to follow Bitcoin's movement in establishing a swing high. Price came down to here. It tried to establish this high of about 9 cents or so. And during this time period, it followed Bitcoin downwards. It suffered a 41.72% increase in comparison to Bitcoin's 29.09. So once again, we really want to follow what exactly Bitcoin's doing. It is the leader, and as a result, because of its market capitalization dominance, we will see greater increases in the altcoins based on those same market movements, and also greater altcoin decreases, valuation decreases based on those same market movements to the downside.